Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to a Solitaire mystery, our slow exploration of one game developer's kind of like train of ideas about what if you made Solitaire interesting. I'm actually really enjoying this sort of slow-paced wake up at the start of my recording day. I hope that y'all are having fun with it too. Hopefully this makes good second monitor content. So Lock Solitaire is still going to stay over there for a minute. Let's just keep moving on here. Here we have Binary Solitaire, a variation on single card. Binary counting adds a really wacky dimension to the card combining. Again, the result might be fun for only the first couple times. Okay. So are we... Yeah, we have ones and zeros. Okay. Deck contains 36 ones and 16 zeros. While holding a card, you can right-click another card or group to combine the cards into a group, with the held card being on top. A group can have a maximum of 3 cards. The value of a group is determined by the binary value of the cards the group consists of. A group's value is indicated in its top left corner, so we can only go to 7? Well, I guess that makes sense. The last game we were only going to 7, right? You can move and stack cards in groups in ascending and descending order. The order can change mid-stack. Your goal is to fill the 3 slots, descending order 7 to 1. Okay. The deck contains 1 more 0 than is needed to fulfill the goal. Well, isn't that nice of it? Okay. And yeah, here's a chart for those of you who don't understand the counting system. So it's like I kind of wish that they had drawn this correctly, because this should be right aligned, not left aligned. Right, the idea is that the number in this digit indicates, is there a 1, and then is there a 2, and then is there a 4. So 5 is made up of a 4 plus a 1, 6 is made up of a 1 plus a 2, 7 is a 1 plus a 2 plus a 1. Probably everybody on the internet knows how to read binary, but you know. Okay, so it's kind of the same thing we did last time, right? Where we're going to want to you can move and stack cards in ascending, descending order. But when we form groups together, they don't group in the way that we've been using the word group before, right? Like, if I smash these 2 1s together, they become a 1-1. They become effectively a single object that is a 1-1. It is no longer... It is very much like the smash together things in the last set, except in the last set, you know, they... Yeah, it's okay. Anyway, sorry, so I'm just getting my bearings here. So let me restart, because that's actually a really bad way to start that. So we can build most of a 7 to 1 to 7 in one of the slots. And I think that would probably be the thing to do, but that's going to mean emptying one of the slots first, right? So we can make a 2-3 over here. I guess it doesn't really matter. They can just sit here. It doesn't matter. What I want to do is open up this space. So we're gonna need... We have to be a little bit careful how we expend our zeros, I guess. Well, in the end, I'm trying to quickly in my head figure out, like, is it possible to combine these numbers in a way where we're going to end up... You know, because we had concerns in like the one where we were trying to combine values up to 26, that if we weren't combining the cards correctly, we would actually run out of high enough values. Here, is it possible to combine the cards to produce? I guess as long as you don't produce more than 3 of any particular value, it shouldn't be, right? So here, let me go ahead and just make the 4. Should I not be able to? while holding a single card, you right click to put the other card on top. Okay, so to make a 4, you have to combine 0, 0, and then combine a 1 into that first. Or last, rather. The opposite of first. It's critical that it not be first, actually. So like this. And then I combine a 1 onto here, then we can move this 2 over there and get a 4 going. Because we're going to want to open up a space to put a 7, but we also need to like build a 7, right? So then to make a 5, well, this is a 6. To make a 5, we'd want to go... at 101, so I need to combine 01 and then a 1. Yeah. Okay. And then we can pull this stuff off to the side here. So I can make myself a 7 pretty easily, but I don't have a place to put it yet. I need another... Well, the 2... if I put a 1 on the 2, it becomes a 6. So I just need a place to put this 3 for a second, which I guess is here. Right, there's my 6. Here's a 7. And then to back some stuff down here, we'll make this 2 to pull the 3 out of the way of. And then actually... Wait, why did I do that? I was trying to think, I was, again, thinking I was going to combine these 3 ones into a 7. But I gotta remember, I can't combine the 2 portion onto the 1. It has to be the other way around. Okay, so how am I going to clean this up the rest of the way? Let's see, I can grab this and stack it to here. And then we can do a 2 and a 3 here. And then, okay. So now we got a place where we can store a bunch of values. We can pull this to the side. So we can count up. So I need one. I need to combine 2 zeros and then combine a 1 onto them. This is going to be the hardest part for me, is just remembering the the order of operations. Okay, and then I need to do this and this to make a 5. We can pull this out immediately. Ooh, that's a little, okay, that's a little problematic. So I wonder, we have one more 0 than we need, right? I am wondering if we are potentially in a little bit of danger here of, let me if I were to combine a 0, I'm going to try something. Undo. If I will it let me do this? It will. Okay, so it will let you waste zeros by appending them to the beginning of groups for 0 value add. So it is possible to just burn a 0 and still be within the bounds of the puzzle in order to produce, in order to like give yourself space, right? It's not a thing that we want to be doing right away. Here we want to go 6, and then get ourselves another 7, and then if we pull this over here, Because I want to have room to still put stuff over here, right? Because we have to make this stack functional now. All right, so we have all the 3s and 2s that we need. We have too many 3s. I made 4 3s. Oh, bloody hell. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. So let me grab this and put it here. Let me not make that other 3. That's pretty important, actually. Yeah, we have all the 3s we can afford right now. So now we need to burn through this stack while using this stack to accommodate stuff. So I can pull... Okay, I can pull numbers off to here. Right. I forget. I need to... If I'm going to do that, I have to pull like this so that we don't have 7 collapsing to 1. It still seems very strange to me that 7 collapsing to 1 would close the stack, including all of anything else that happens to be stacked on top of it. If it is going to close the stack, and I guess I can kind of understand the behavior, you would think it would at least leave the other stuff face up. And, you know, obviously in a condition where it has to now be moved off. So I need... Trying to figure this out. We can combine 2 zeros into a 00 object for the purpose of holding space if we want to, because we will make use of a 00 object. Right, we'll throw a 1 on it at some point to make it into a 4. So that doesn't waste anything, but it does get a 0 out of the way so that we can access this huge pile of 1s and start building the things that we need. Because otherwise, this seems like it's going to be a little bit of a problem. Well, we can make a 2 here. Oh, sorry, I put the 0 on the 1. That makes a 1. Well, I mean, that's fine, because that's going to just become a 5 later. Okay, we can work with that. So what are we looking at here? I don't really need to build... I don't need 2s, I don't need 3s. So I need to start building at 4. Here's the root of my 5. We need to make a 6 and a 7. If I combine this to a 5 right now, I won't have a place to store it immediately. But we could fix that. Right? I could... I don't want to bury this one because we want to use this one for things. So I'm trying to think here. We don't need a 2, but we'll use a root. And we can also just burn down a 0, like we talked about before. I hate the fact that if I pull this over here, I'm going to lose the stack. What I need is to make this functional again. So, okay, if I pull the 2... I guess I can pull from here. For the moment. Just for the moment. And we can make... I guess making a 4-3 isn't such a bad thing. Because... a 4-3 just becomes a 7 eventually, right? You just throw another 1 on the front of it. That's an important way to think about this, I guess. Yeah. That is interesting. Okay, so... I really do need somewhere that I can just put this 0 for a second. We gotta start working with these 1s. Alright, so if I tack a 1 onto this 2, it becomes 6. then here's a thought. Tack 1 onto this 2. Tack 1 onto this 3 to make it a 7. Tack 1 onto this 2 to make it a 6. And we start building the stack down from here. We wouldn't be able to place like this, obviously, but now that we have this set up, move this 0 back over here, make this our 5, and if we can clear this this column out doing this, then we can just grab the group and move it over. So now I need a 4, which can... I have to be a little careful how I spend my zeros, because the one, you know, obviously we can't move ones onto ones in a totally trivial manner. But I guess this is a fine way to do this, right? And then we effectively already have the rest of your count. So now I need to make... We have 7, 6, 4... We need to make the 3 and the 2 for this, which is easy enough. Just need to make sure I have a spot to put them. This is the problem is going to be not blowing up my not blowing up my stuff while I'm still working. So make a 3 to reverse onto this. Yeah. And then a 2, which can then hold this 1. We can pull this 2 over to here, get the 7 rooted there, and then 2 and 1. Go ahead and close this stack at this point. Close that stack with the correct stuff in it even. And then I think I just combine my extra 0 onto this 1, right? Which allows me to close that stack, and then there we go. Yeah, that one's interesting. The utility of... It's very easy to think of a combined value as... It's very easy to think of the combine action as creating an endpoint value, right? Obviously, whenever you create a 7, you're going to do so by first creating a 3. But when you're making a 7, you think of it as constructing a 7 that will be placed in the ending position. And when you make a 3, it's easy to think of it as creating a 3 that will be used in the ending position. And it's really important to remember, I think, that some of those values are both endpoints and median points. Which is different than you're trained to think about the cards by the other combining games, where combined cards can't then be recombined. Anyway, what's up with limited move solitaire? This is going to be very difficult for me. A solitaire that features a very lenient stacking rule, with cards being movable only a limited number of times. This feels like it's going to be a problem. Oh, and it's a variable number of times. Oh no, is it maybe the value of the card is how many times it can be moved? Alright, you can stack cards and move them in descending order of alternating suit. Card values don't need to be adjacent as long as they're in descending order. So 7, 4, 3, for example, is a valid stack. Each card can only be moved a limited number of times. The initial limit of moves is equal to the number value of the card. When moving a stack, only the topmost card gets its moves reduced. Once a card is out of moves, it'll jump to the slots on the right when able. Okay, so it doesn't like evaporate or anything. So hold on, it said topmost card. This is just a test. Okay, they mean frontmost. Because, like, to my mind, the Jack is the topmost card in that group. It's the one that's at the top, vertically, you know, thinking about the top of the table as the top, or the top of our screen, but they're thinking about top as the Z-axis. Okay, so that's a thing to be like super fucking careful of then. That said, it's really easy for low value cards to get pulled out of the stacks, right? So one thing I see immediately is that we have an ace, and then 2 2s, and then 2 aces, and then a 3 and an ace and a 2 in this stack. So digging through this deck quickly, I think, is probably going to be really important. Where is the 2 of clubs? It's in here. I'm just thinking, like, we're going to want to get rid of this 3 fairly quickly as well, right? All right, so, and we have to do alternating suit. So I need a place for this 9 to live. And it could just be one of those spaces over there, but I wonder if it's not the jack. I foresee this becoming an issue. All right, let me move the 3 out of the way. We'll move this thing. All right, this king is going to become the root here. It should, in theory, be pretty easy for us to dig through a pile, right? So this just needs to go on any non-diamond card, really. Any non-diamond card where we don't mind locking the value of that stack, because it's going to be hard to put stuff down onto it. But these are both 2s that are going to be immediately moving out of the puzzle. Okay, that feels huge. That feels pretty huge. All right. How easy would it be for me to get rid of all of the showing clubs? 7 of clubs is pretty deep. But if we do something like this, grab this 6 over here. Pull this 4 down. Pulling this 4 doesn't really help anything. We can put this 3 over here to give this king a place to go. And then, yeah, we can pull a bunch of clubs out of the puzzle really fast. Okay, and a diamond. A lot of things about this have worked out really well. I think... So our 3 of spades is up here, which is a little inconvenient. We can get some work done as far as splitting cards out. We're gonna have this 4 though. That's gonna become a problem very quickly, because it's gonna lock the stack that it's sitting on top of to a pretty low number of movements. And I guess this would have been the value of keeping the 3s around in the puzzle, is that you can place one of them over top of the 4 once the 4 gets immobile. So I think all we can really do here is just move this jack out to a thing of a different suit than it is. And then, like, the 4... It lives pretty cleanly on that 5 until you need to move stuff around to get underneath, right? Where are my queens? Because I have a bunch of jacks and I have a bunch of kings. I'm a little leery of placing the jacks directly onto the kings too much, because we're going to need room for these queens. So... for diamonds is up here too. So yeah, getting deep into this stack is for sure our next proximal goal. It's like pulling this jack over to here so we can pull this 10 to somewhere. So you can pull this 10 to... Oh, that sucks actually. It is a real shame. Well, you know what? Let me actually, we have a queen right here. Let me move a queen out to here. That's a 6. We do stuff with this 8 and we could open up another space easily. other thing we can do is we can move this 4 over to here and then take the whole 9 to there. That makes things a little easier. We just can't, the difficulty is I can't put this 10 on that jack, right? So we put this here and then this here to allow us to access the queen. And we're cutting through the moves on that 10 pretty quickly, but I think that's probably fine. I think it's probably like extremely fine. Okay, that lets us get rid of this 4, which only had 1 move left. Yeah, this is going. We're going. It sucks that you are a clover, but we can work around that. So this 8 can... We don't really have to be too careful with a lot of this stuff. At this point, we got all the really low value cards out of the deck, which was like the big bottleneck is, oh no, what if I expend all the moves on a 3 or something, right? It gets a lot less scary after that. You can be kind of sloppy at this point, within limitations, within reason. We still got a lot of queens to figure out, but if there's one thing I know, okay, so this pile has our 7, our 6 is showing. Let's get you. So let's get down in here. So we can pull a 9 to there, a 7 to there, an 8 to there, a 9 to there, jack on queen on king, and we win? Right, like if I do a little bit of restacking here, I do believe that should be... Yeah. Yeah, the risk with that one is just that you will get a low card on top of a set of cards that you need to move more than a couple of times, and you'll run out the value on the low card. That's really quite an easy one, and probably not all that interesting to play a bunch of times. Okay, Chaotic Solitaire. 4-star, can't be played with the standard deck. Always good. A Solitaire where cards jump around semi-randomly after each move, with the rules being quite lenient otherwise. But the result is... yeah, but there's some deductive logic involved too. Okay. Explain to me the rules. Pile cards in ascending order on the slots on the right. You can stack cards and move them in descending order of alternating suit. They don't need to be adjacent values. Every time you move a card between the slots on the left, it swaps places with a random other card on top of one of the slots if possible. Only the topmost card is swapped when moving a stack. So the card you just moved will jump somewhere. That's interesting. Alternating suit? Yeah, alternating suit. Okay. Alright, well let's try to access some aces, shall we? This one feels like... yeah, it feels like it is going to be borderline impossible to plan anything. I'm trying so hard to be able to move cards off of here, and they just keep putting higher and higher cards. On top of that, I mean, I guess the cards teleporting out of this stack is good, because we're trying to get to these aces. This goes here? Okay, and then we can move the 2 out, and then move the 2 out again. Now, see, here you start to run into trouble where we need to uncap another... oh, right, alternating suit. We need to uncap another higher value card. It really is a shame these are both the same suit. Okay, I mean, that works. We're getting into a little bit of a danger zone. Being able to have kings just teleport out of the stack you're working on is actually bananas. That's so good. It doesn't matter that it's alternating suit because the card's not going to stay where I put it anyway. Okay, I need to open up this 9 to be able to play on. Too many damn 4s. Okay. So, got a couple of aces, got a couple of, and we got an empty slot here. The other aces, there's one deep in here, and this has the 2 and the 3 of hearts on the way. The other ace is way deep here, like way deep. There's a 2 up there as well. There's a 2 there. There's a 2. Man. Everything is just spread out absolutely fucking everywhere. This is a nightmare. Okay, well that's really not where we want that. How about there? That seems like a fine place for that card. Let me oh, this is actually getting to this king is going to be a little tricky now. So this will pull the 9 up, allowing me to put the 4, whatever teleports there, back on top of the 9. But now that we have all these fucking 4s, things actually become fairly complicated. So if I move 2 cards at a time, the card that I move is going to stay there. The bottom card is going to stay there. We kind of want that, right? We kind of want that king in that spot. And then it would actually be pretty helpful to me if we could get this 10, like... Oh, but I can't move it because of the way they stacked. That's actually very awkward. Oh! That's interesting. So when placing the 4, the king is considered to be the top of that stack, while the 4 is coming down, and thus a legal target for the teleport. I don't care for that at all. Okay, yeah, this is what I wanted. I wanted to try to, like, produce a couple of higher value things that I could drop cards onto. We're going to need that 10 for me to be able to put 9s on. It really sucks that everything we can see is the same suit for like miles. And now I can't access this, so I just have to put that there. Okay, so we're reburying cards, which is not a thing I had considered as a possibility. Yeah, that's such an interesting way for that timing to work. So if we could get rid of this 9, we could pull another card and pull another card. Like getting some low value cards out of the puzzle right now would actually be hugely beneficial. So I can move this 4 onto a different 9 than it's currently on. Just try to force the teleport, basically. Okay, we can pull just not that 9 down to here. And what I'm trying to do, I think, again, is force a beneficial teleport swap. Okay, that works. Because now I can go 6, 3, 4. This reveals some higher values for us. It is not great to have all of the 9s showing already. Okay. I was trying to get the 8 free. They got us to the 8. You know, I can only complain so much about the peculiar way that it occurred. All right, now we need to sort of like reverse course a little bit. So our 3 of diamonds is up here and our 4 of diamonds is up here, but our 2 of diamonds is deep in the 3rd stack. And I think that's got to be the next goal, to the 2 in the final ace. And then we can figure things out from there. So unfortunately, we have very little ability to move cards as low as, or cards as high as 9 around. If I can get the 7s and 6s unloaded from here, we can produce for ourselves another high card to play on to help us shovel cards around. I actually think that's probably pretty good right now. Don't love that everything's the same suit. Oh god, there's a real risk of everything being the same suit, which would lock the puzzle, right? Well, no, because I have like, we could do this. Yeah, let's do that. Don't love how that worked out. So if we move this 5 to... we move this 4 to the 5. Okay, that's interesting. Please don't do that. Okay, that's fine. That'll give us another higher value. Teleporting the queen off the top of that stack was like actually the best thing that could have happened to us. When we place this 9, it's going to teleport out with another one of the clubs on top of things right now. Maybe that's a bad idea. Because we can move, again, we can move chunks, right? So I can move this 5 and this 4 to get us access to that. And maybe the goal is like do this, and then that lets us redistribute things a little bit. Now we can move. Oh, these cards aren't quite in the right order. Okay, we can move the 7 and the 4 onto here, which gets us a little bit of depth, and again, some cards that are high enough that they're hard to move around. This 4 needs to get out of here so that I can move this 8 out of here. Okay. 5, 2, out of the puzzle. Fantastic. Then, if I move this here, there's a chance that we dredge, like if we can dredge up the king of spades so that we can move the jack onto the other king and then like establish one of those kings at the root of that pile, it would be actually really great. And in the interim, it is to our benefit to try to get into this pile for our missing 2. It's not the end of the world to get to the bottom of this pile instead, but we have to, the king would have to come up, and we don't really have a lot of control over that. Okay, so now that we've got that, unfortunately I can't move them as a group because of the way that worked out. And actually, this is kind of awkward, isn't it? Yeah, I needed that king clear for the jack plan to work. Shit. Well, okay. Now we can move these to here. And then if you would just... So no, it's not possible for a teleport to here to occur because there's no longer a card there. So now we can put a king at the root of that pile. Okay. I guess that works. It's not what I would have chosen to do. Do we want to... I guess just get to digging here? Well, hold on now. If I want to move that queen out, we gotta be a little bit canny here. Okay. Then I move the 10 up here. Queen goes to the bottom of the pile. Queen does not go to the bottom of the pile. She won't stand for it. Okay, let me do this so that I can get the 3 out of the puzzle so that we can create an open slot. So that we can create a little bit of stability. Only so many things can jump around. God damn it. I'm just trying to settle the root of it. Okay. No, it's fine. It's good. It's fine. So we put this here, it'll teleport to one of the other spaces. But then when we resettle the card from that space, only the topmost card will teleport this time. So now the king will stay. Then it's like we put something on top of the queen. We move this. There's a decent... Okay, so if we move it to here, if it swaps with the king stays rooted. And then we move... I can't move the queen 5 because the queen 5's not... Because it's not a legal stack on its own. So we put this here. This definitely won't work. I need to get something on top of the queen. Please swap with the 5. Yes. And then this will swap the 4. Okay. Now we have a stack settled. Holy shit, I wish I had that 2 of clubs. The 2 of clubs will do some really fantastic stuff for us right now. And then this is like... Oh, geez. Okay, hold on. We're in Nightmare Town. I gotta make sure that we don't end up with only clubs showing again. It's actually really awkward. So I put this 5 up here. It's going to swap a club down onto there and then lock the stack with a low value club on top of it. So I think this actually is the right move. And then we gotta... We deal with a frustrating number of 5s. And we're not ready to move any of them off the stacks yet. Where's my 4 of diamonds? Right, of course. Where else would it be? Well, problematic. Boy, that doesn't feel like that should be a way that can work. How? Okay. It's fine. It's not fine. Does that kill me? Am I dead? Yeah, right? That was really bad luck for it to do that high card off the thing swap here twice in a row. Yeah, we can't move any of the fucking clubs onto any of the other fucking clubs and none of the cards below the clubs, anything I can pick up is too high for a fucking... God damn it. Alright. I do believe that killed us. Maybe there was a move I didn't see, and I apologize if there was. That's really frustrating. That's a really frustrating way to randomly lose a game of Solitaire. So I'm digging for that Ace of Hearts, if it's not clear. We have access to a lot of low-value cards here early on, which is mixed blessing, you know? So I need... This 5 is awkward. Okay. If we move this 4 to here... Alright, well I guess that works. I was trying to create a situation where I could move the jack off to the king. But, you know, sometimes things just come together in the world of random teleporting cards. So now we need to access that ace. Then we have an ace of spades up here. That's a little annoying. We really don't have a lot of good cards to move a 6 onto, you know? I guess that's a fine spot for it. Okay, that'll give me that. And then if we can start digging down this pile, we can rip a bunch of cards out of the pool pretty quickly. Also, though, maybe it makes sense to just focus on getting the 4th ace because we do have a lot of our low-value cards showing. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not going to get myself stuck behind these kings. It's very difficult to have a place to move a king to, but the teleportation allows you to get away with it sometimes. But then, yeah, you end up with this situation, right, where it's... If you have too much of the same suit showing, you can just randomly lose. So let me lock this king. I would love for that to never teleport. And then we gotta do our best to teleport the other king somewhere. But we would prefer it not actually to be this stack. If I move... Yeah. Right, except that leaves nothing but spades on top. You gotta be more careful about that. It's actually very dangerous. Well, okay, at this point, let me try to, fish for a way to get that king out of there so that we can get this 2 out of there. And then... we don't need any of the other cards in this stack really, like, immediately. There's a 3 of diamonds up there that would be helpful. I'm just trying to think of, like, how I want to be moving things at the moment. Obviously, we don't want to risk burying this 2. If I move the 2 to here, it's going to swap with something, and we don't know what. We'd really love it not to be that queen. If it swaps with the jack, then we can put a bunch of cards on top of the jack. Okay, it swapped with the king. That's not very good. Here's what we might be doing. I might be actually trying to dig this out and trying to like dump some of our more frustrating cards into it for a little bit. but we have to be like really careful here. So if I put all the 10s on top of this jack, the 4 of clubs will swap with something. Or if I put the 10 and all this stuff, I mean. We're going to end up in a spot where there's a lot of clubs top facing though, so maybe that's a bad idea. Alright, let me do this. Okay. In an attempt to swap the king to the top of this stack, which did work. Now we place the 4 here, and there's a decent chance. Okay, that's really... I was going to say there's a decent chance it swaps one of the clubs. So this will put something on top of this king, just bury the king for the moment. So we don't have to worry about the king teleporting out to bite us later. That's not terrible, actually. So we want to be removing cards from this pile as much as possible. Teleporting the king out is pretty reasonable. And then I really wish I could move this 2 on top of this 4, honestly. I would love to be able to try to fish for that king teleport. I'm wondering if maybe the play then is to do this. Yeah. And then try to fish for teleporting the king up there. How much stuff am I willing to bury to try to teleport this last king? Ah, well, I can't make the move anymore. If I do this... I don't know that I want to try to move the... I don't want to put a card on top of the king. I don't think. We gotta be able to get rid of some of these cards. We have to pick more stuff up, but we need this ace so badly. All right, let me go ahead and just put stuff on top of the king. Okay, sadly you can't go up there by yourself, but maybe we can cheat teleport you up there. Give him the old cheetah port. So we can move. Moving the 9 obviously is a little problematic. If we clear the queen, place you here. There's a chance that we just teleport the queen onto that pile, obviously, which is not ideal. We can put the 2 down over here. I was gonna say it if it teleports either the king or the 9. That's pretty strong. Teleporting the 4 was kind of the only way that's not a good play. Oh, interesting. It's not... there we go. I was going to say, it looks like maybe the teleports aren't actually random. They're like seeded by the current position, but no, we just got weird unlucky rolls there a bunch of times in a row. All right, teleport the king out. Great news. We're getting close, but we're also getting close to having a lot of spades on the board at the same time. Okay, that will help with that tremendously. Okay, now our next goal is to dig back down this stack and get all these low value cards. While we're at it, actually, we're in a position where I can probably free this 5 so that we can, scoop that up into our mass here. All right. And we got some queens at the bottom of some stacks, which is pretty okay. Now, I need to get fairly deep into this stack again, which means we're going to need... When I put this here, I need to get that 10. Yeah, that'll work. I was kind of hoping we would get the queen to teleport. We can move this whole set onto this queen. then I was going to say, then we just pick the queen up and put it on the king, right? But this 10 has conspired against us. It's making trouble. Okay, interesting. We can expose this queen. If I place this 10 here, it's going to teleport to the top of one of these other two stacks. I would love it if it would teleport to the top of if it would swap with the 4 of spades. Okay, it teleporting to the top of that stack I think is not so bad. Except it does create the situation where we have all of our 4s showing again. What I really need is to get more high value cards off of these piles. And at this point, again, we're exposing kings with the hope of teleporting them out of the way, basically. I don't really want to teleport a king on top of that 5, but if it happened, it certainly wouldn't be the end of the world. Let's see here. We can take this whole... No, we can't. The Joker is the same suit. Okay, yeah, you know what? Honestly, I don't hate that. That's not horrible. That allows me to pull a jack down to here. Buries my 4, which I don't love, actually. Okay, so if I place this king here, it's going to swap something else into the hole. The business of getting a king down is like, it's non-trivial. Okay, that's pretty spectacular the way that just worked out. Because now, if I place this 10 here, it's going to teleport either the 6 or the 4 onto the top, and then we can move this whole stack, and the king, queen, jack will stay put for sure. Oh, that's lovely. Okay. Let's continue digging. So, I need to get this 6 out of the way. We can pick up a 6-5-4 potentially together, depending on how things go here. I kind of want to make sure we get something. Well, that's the one way I didn't want that to go, but that's fine. I hate the fact that the card that's on top of the stack that you're putting down is a viable teleport. That sucks a lot for that reason right there. Okay. Well, the good news is we're actually really close to the 3 of clubs here. That was kind of an annoying teleport. It was just like a shitty nothing. This 4 is the wrong suit for its position. Yeah, we're having a lot of sudden glut of diamonds, which is making it hard to do things. And they're not interested in allowing me to lower the number of facing diamonds. Whatever teleport must be performed to keep the diamonds running the show, huh? All right, if we can swap... Man, that's tricky. So yeah, I can't move the 10 and the 6 together onto anything. The 6, I can move the 6 onto the 9, and like again, this is just I'm trying to reduce the number of diamonds that are facing, right? I'm trying to reduce the percentage of our board that is diamonds. I think pulling this 4 out of here right now is probably a good idea. And then if I click this here, it's going to swap places with the 6, the 10, or the 9. If it swaps places with the 6 of clubs or the 10, then... Well, if it's all places with the 10... That's the only situation in which... Oh, no. It is really hard for me to sort of follow the potential logic. I just can't have 2 diamonds sitting on top of each other like that and blocking stack movement, right? It's very problematic. All right, so then this 9 onto here gives me the ability to move this 6 onto there, and then we can move the 9 and the 6 together, but we won't be able to move the 9 and the 6 with whatever the 6 swaps with, because it'll be the same suit as the 9, or it'll be a higher card. So, since that's guaranteed not to be a useful move, let's make this move instead. And then this gives us the 3. No matter what the teleport is, we get the 3 to move out there, which is great. Okay. Where is my 3 of spades? Or diamonds? It's way the fuck down there. Alright. The 4 of hearts is in there. The 5 of spades is in there. 4 of spades is way up there. Okay. Let's try to get to that 4 of spades, or that 4 of hearts. So that's going to necessitate digging through a king. Not great. This at least allows me to get 10-9 off of here. And then we're trying to cause a face card teleport again, I think. Yeah. That's a little awkward. I hate it when the card swaps with the thing you put it on. That's almost always really bad. And there's rarely a way to make it a good thing to happen. I guess here it wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, in this position, basically I'm just like playing cards until they teleport the queen. I don't think we have a lot of other fancy strat available to us. I could try to, if this wasn't a 10 with a queen behind it, we could try to engineer a situation where we could run this stack out and then move the queen into the opening, but realistically that's not happening. Right, it would require access to a king to move the queen onto, which requires us to pull this 10. Like it's not impossible, but it would require a lot of luck. Although, you know, that doesn't hurt. Okay, teleport the queen out of there, and then all of a sudden it's looking a little bit more plausible. Queen to the top of that stack's a little scary. Oh no. Okay, well, we teleported our queen out of here, which is great. Gosh, if we could just get that 4 of hearts, look at all the stuff it would pull. And at this point, just raw like bulk pulling cards out of the stacks is like a huge advantage. So if I put this down here, if it teleports with the queen, we can move the 10. Like, we have a lot of hearts showing, but they actually have like playable cards beneath them for the most part. If this teleports with the 5, that would lock us. Yeah. I have to be a little more careful. I mean, that's pretty bad. Okay. It just trapped my 6. Alright. That's something. Try to establish a card on top of the king as quickly as possible. Then do the same thing to the queen. God, I wish we didn't exclusively have hearts. So we put the 6 here, and then it swaps with the 5. I'm looking at this and trying to figure out, like, what do we even do? I should have moved the queen onto the king. All right, let me do this, and then that, so that we have the queen and the king guaranteed locked together for the moment. Now we want to try to make room on that queen for this 10. And I wish this wasn't the way to do that, because it's going to mean that the queen is viable as a teleportation target. I guess I can put the 9 here. No, this is terrible. If I put the 9 here, anything it teleports with is a problem. Okay. So then it's just like, as long as this doesn't swap with the queen, we're good. That's just the situation we were in a minute ago. Okay, we can work with this. Because then that swaps, but it swaps in a way that's guaranteed to let us get rid of a bunch of cards. Which feels good. Yeah, I don't like this one very much, is what I'm going to say. I think this is not great solitaire. 5 and the 6 out of there. Now we don't want to pull the cards down in like too disordered. Well, it would be more of a problem with almost any other rule set, because we can skip numbers in our descending card order. It actually really doesn't matter that we keep these stacks kind of even. Like we'll have places to put the 3 of diamonds or the 4 of diamonds, regardless of what other low cards still exist in the pool. All right, let me try to... Problematic. What I need to do is move this jack, right? It's causing problems. But the way to move that jack is to move it onto this king. God damn it. That's the opposite of the thing I wanted. Oh, well, we don't want to show more kings. Hold on. I mean, we want to get the kings out of this stack eventually, but this is not the moment. So... we're getting to a place where there's just like a lot of royalty in the middle of the stacks. Alright, maybe if I... I'm thinking that we can perhaps get this king moved over to here, or try to actually assemble the king, queen, jack that we're looking at and get them, if not pinned all the way to the board, then at least buried. But it's going to require a little bit of luck, obviously. Okay, that works out all right because it lets me grab this queen and put the queen there. And then we do now get to at the very least, move the king out of the stack. What it has not done is open up the ability for me to move this 10. But if we put the 8 on top of it here, provided the 8 swaps with the 5... Oh boy, it would have to be the 5. So unfortunately, this is the wrong jack for moving stack movement onto that queen. Man. Yeah. We can try to get the jack onto this queen. Maybe that is the play. I'll try to... What did I think I was going to do with this 10? I thought I was going to cause it to teleport. That's like literally the only the only hope we have. There we go. So now we put this up here so that neither of the stacks we're working with can get disturbed. That actually works out pretty well, I think. And then we have Queen Jack down here. Okay, I was going to say as a place to move 10s, but also we could just leave these 10s here. That's fine. So, what are we digging for now? Well, it'd probably be a good idea to expose that 5 real quick. Just get rid of that. And then... I do need my 3 of diamonds. I do need my... We're looking at 7s. The 6 of clubs is over there. All of our 7s. Actually, this is a pack of all the cards we need next. So probably that's the direction. I don't love it. Nor the fact that this 10 is the same suit. Okay, that works just fine. That's probably a little bit better than fine, on average, actually. That's a little worse. That's a lot worse. Yeah, we need to get this like pack of 9s is really cramping my style. All right. Let's get an 8 out to here. That's fine. Tuck the 8 under there for a while. That'll work. You monster. The only bad outcome here is if the 8 teleports with the queen. And then we tack those down there. Okay. Starting to get into a dangerous position again with the number of showing diamonds. I do not like that. But we're working our hardest toward making that an actually resolvable problem, right? There's only so much we can do. That's a pretty bad outcome, actually. Alright. I need to get some, like, 9... I need to be able to move stacks more often. This game type is a lot more reliable when you can move even 2 card stacks. But we need to untangle some of these numbers. I guess the idea... we can put a 7 here. That's terrible. Yeah, the random teleporting is unfortunately digging us back down into the hole. Like, we need these cards to stay steady. And the 9 of clubs is a really fucking bad card to have visible right now. Okay. I don't hate that, I suppose. I just need to get through this stack of 9s and 8s, right? So we do this. Put the 7 on here and hope to swap it with the 9 of clubs. Okay, and then put the 7 on here. And if it swaps with the 9 of clubs, that's fine. And if it swaps with the 5, that's also fine. And if it swaps with the 9 of spades, then that just means we don't have to take the effort of moving the 9 of spades. Okay. Now we want to get these 9s and 8s distributed. So It would be absolutely fine if we teleported the 9 over here. Yeah. And yeah, if the 7 teleports, then it's just like nothing happened, really. We put this here. Okay. And again, if we stack the 9s, that's absolutely fine. The only way this goes wrong is if the 5 swaps with the 9. But if it swaps with the 8, it's good. It's stacking things up. If it swaps with the 7, then, you know, we can still keep moving the cards around. Okay, cool. Great. Then let's move the 5 over to here. 7 to here, hoping to swap anything other than the 8 of hearts. Yeah, absolutely acceptable, actually. That's going to cause us problems in a minute, but it's fine for right now. And then we're trying to put stuff on top of the queen. This is really awkward. Okay, I mean, we're moving stuff out of the critical stack. Don't love that. So we move this to here. If we swap one of the diamonds, we're putting the 8 in a place where it can be left for right now. Yeah, and if we swap the 9, obviously that would be ideal. Again, hoping to swap the 9. Okay, at least this time we can actually like just move the 9. It swapped itself under the 10. That's actually fine. All right. So we want to get rid of this. Placing it here. If it swaps with the king, that's pretty annoying because the 7 of clubs is like a bad top card in that situation. And we can, you know, it's not that bad actually, whatever. Yeah, and if it doesn't, then we're fine. Here we're fingers crossed that it's going to swap the jack. Okay. Again, we're fingers crossed that it's going to swap the jack. If we end up getting this 8 out of the way, then like we can just actually move the jack. Okay, all right. We did it, friends. Now if we can get this 8 to stick, yeah, we can move a king to the bottom of a pile where hopefully it can live forever. And now I need to obviously dig around a little bit because of the fact that digging for a card always causes a bunch of cards to fly in randomized directions. We can't do the nice stacking thing like we would do with a normal game where a success like that would yield a bunch of immediate further successes. Because now all of your cards are somewhere, some place that you don't actually want them to be. And we just have to dig to them again. That was a bad outcome. I need that 5. But we're trying to obviously get to the 4, and there's 2 6s right now. So let's... Okay, that's not so bad. So we're trying to do, like, if we can open this hole up again, which we've just done. If I put you here, then we can move the king down to the bottom. The king's going to swap with something, and it's a little not ideal. Actually, what if I move this to here instead? If it swaps with the 7, it's awkward because it's, the same suit. That's the king we want to move. Yeah, and then you end up with this problem. Okay, it'll do. Just barely though. We're actually in kind of a scary spot here with the clubs and all. Okay. So if I swap here, if I play here and we swap and it puts a king down on top of this guy, I think that's like really fine. And if not, we get our 4. We get our 4 anyway. That was always going to happen. All right, now we can pull the jack out of the pit and play it onto this king, which is not where we want it to be long term, but it creates a situation, you know, where we can move some royalty into a big hole in the ground, which is the thing you should always be aiming to do with royalty. But the way we'd really like to do it is with some stuff on top of them first so that they can't get back out. Again, always the case with royalty. So what I'm thinking is maybe we... It's a real shame that these are the same suit. That complicates things tremendously. I guess I'm just going to move you flat. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. All right. Now, just like real life kings, they're going to try to avoid. All right, that's fine. We got our 5, we got our 6. Here's an 8. 7 of clubs is up there. Okay. Too many visible clubs. Getting a little scared. We're really reliant on a swap with this king. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, friends. So we're going to have to pull from the 9 onto the king here. And then... No, this is ugly. This is really, really ugly. All right, that creates... This 9 would be valuable. So let me try to source that out. We got to get rid of this king. Okay. That's pretty great news, actually. So we go 7, 8. Queen onto the king. How do I want to do this? Is it... I'm trying... It's like... It's the 8 onto the 10 or the 9 onto the 10. And you hope for a favorable swap. I guess it would be better for it to be that. I would consider this a pretty unfavorable swap. We can move these as a stack to ensure that at least the 10 stays in place. And then we have that as well. And now we can move these down, and that clears a whole lot of clubs all at once. And in fact, it lets us pull a fair amount on the auto stack, and then yeah, we're close to running out here entirely. So I need access to that 9. So you here. I need this king to be movable, which means I need you to stop doing that. Okay, good enough. That one took longer than I thought it was going to, for sure. I do not think that is a good or fun solitaire variant. It's interesting, and I think that's a good enough reason for it to be in the pack. But yeah, I would not recommend that one for just leisure fun time solitaire. That's probably the slowest way to play solitaire. All right, so that's gonna be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember that thing I said about relaxing? We'll get it tomorrow. We'll have our relaxation tomorrow. So come back next time for hopefully slightly less randomness. And we'll see you then.